There is something happening in your life right now that you may not even realize. Every single day, you are feeding something. You are feeding your fears or your courage. You are feeding your problems or your ability to find solutions. You are feeding your doubts or your belief in yourself. Because there is a simple principle that can completely change the way you live. What you focus on grows. Think about it. Have you ever had one bad thing happen to you and suddenly that became all you could think about? Maybe someone said something that hurt you. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe something didn't go according to plan. And instead of letting that moment pass, you kept replaying it in your mind over and over again. You thought about what happened, what you should have said, what you should have done, why it happened to you. And before you knew it, one small moment became bigger and bigger inside your mind. The situation may not have changed, but your focus made it feel larger. And the same thing happens with fear. The more you focus on everything that could go wrong, the more reasons you find not to try. You start asking, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? And suddenly, your mind becomes filled with possibilities of failure. But here's the question: what if you gave the same amount of attention to what could go right? What if, instead of focusing only on the obstacles, you started looking for opportunities? What if, instead of constantly reminding yourself of your weaknesses, you started recognizing your strengths? What if, instead of asking, why is my life so difficult, you started asking, what can I do next? Because your mind is always looking for evidence. If you constantly tell yourself that life is against you, you'll start noticing every reason to believe it. Every problem becomes proof. Every failure becomes confirmation. Every difficult moment becomes another reason to give up. But when you start focusing on growth, you begin seeing something different. You start noticing progress. You notice the things you are learning. You recognize how far you have come. You begin seeing opportunities that were always there. But you were too focused on your problems not to notice them. This doesn't mean pretending that problems don't exist. It doesn't mean forcing yourself to be positive when life is genuinely difficult. Problems are real. Pain is real. Challenges are real. But you have a choice about what you continue feeding. You acknowledge the problem without making the problem your entire identity. You can experience failure without believing that you are a failure. You can go through a difficult season without believing that your whole life will always be difficult. Because where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy goes, something begins to grow. Imagine two gardens. In one garden, you water the flowers every day. You take care of them, you give them attention. Slowly, they grow. In the other garden, you do nothing. You don't water it, you don't take care of it. Eventually, it begins to fade. Your mind works in a similar way. Every thought you repeatedly give attention to becomes stronger. Every belief you continue feeding becomes more powerful. Every excuse you repeat becomes easier to believe. But so does every possibility. So does every small win. So does every moment you choose to keep going. Maybe your life doesn't need more motivation right now. Maybe what you need is a new focus. Instead of focusing on how far you still have to go, focus on how far you have already come. Instead of focusing on everything you don't have, focus on what you can do with what you have today. Instead of focusing on why you cannot, ask yourself, what's one way I can? Because you don't have to solve your entire life today. You just have to focus on the next step. One healthy choice, one difficult conversation, one page, one workout, one application, one small action. And when you keep focusing on small progress, something powerful happens. You begin to build momentum, and momentum changes things. The problem is, many people focus so much on the mountain that they become afraid to take the first step. They look at everything they haven't achieved, everything they need to do, everything that could go wrong, and they become overwhelmed. But you don't climb a mountain by focusing on the top every second. You climb it by looking for the next step. So maybe that's what you need to do today. Take your attention away from the things you cannot control. Stop giving all your energy to people who don't understand you. Stop replaying mistakes that you can no longer change. Stop watering the fears that are keeping you stuck. And start giving your attention to something that can actually move your life forward. Your health, your goals, your relationships, your growth, your peace, your next step. Because every day, whether you realize it or not, you are watering something. The question is, what are you watering? Are you watering your fears or your courage? Are you watering your excuses or your discipline? Are you watering your past or your future? Because whatever you continue to give your attention to will continue to grow in your life. So be careful where you place your focus. Not because you can control everything that happens to you. You cannot. But because you can choose what you do next. You can choose what you learn from. You can choose what you give your energy to. You can choose what you build. And maybe that is where your life begins to change. Not when all your problems disappear. Not when life finally becomes easy. But when you stop allowing your problems to take up all the space in your mind. And you start making room for something else. Like hope, growth, possibility, action. So today, pay attention to what you're focusing on because your attention is powerful. Your focus is powerful, and your life will often move in the direction of the themes you consistently give your energy to. So if you're going to focus on something, focus on the next step. Focus on becoming better. Focus on what you can control. Focus on the possibility that your life can change. And then, water that, protect that, work on that every single day. Because remember, what you focus on grows. So make sure you're growing something worth having.